get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Kampir. Let's get started. A new day, fresh questions and uncertainty. Will the second round of the US-Iran talks take place? An Iranian delegation reportedly expected to arrive in Pakistan. Meanwhile, Israel continues to unleash strikes, issue evacuation orders, push deeper into southern Lebanon. The Iranian government sending out a strong message of unity after the US president claimed that there is a divide within the power structure of the country. We are decoding all of this in just a bit. Meanwhile, the battle for Hormuz is intensifying. We tell you all about the latest move at the critical choke point where the crisis continues to choke energy supplies. While he claims the clock is ticking for Iran, not for him, Donald Trump has just 8 days to make up his mind on Iran. We tell you why. All this and more coming up. Israel continues to unleash strikes, issue evacuation orders, push deeper into southern Lebanon, openly testing and in a way ignoring the fragile ceasefire that was supposed to hold there. Despite US President Donald Trump announcing a 3-week ceasefire extension between Israel and Lebanon earlier, the ground reality telling us a completely different story. The war between Israel and Hezbollah is not cooling down, far from it. It is intensifying. And just a short while back, Lebanese media said 3 Israeli airstrikes struck the southern Lebanon village of Deir Ames. The strikes coming after the Israeli military had warned residents to evacuate immediately, marking the first such alert since the extension of the ceasefire. And the IDF's warning had cited Hezbollah activity and launching of rockets for imminent targeted operations. Notably, the village lies north of the so-called Yellow Line, south of which the Israeli forces are operating despite the ceasefire, reportedly, raising fresh questions and concern about the scope of the Israeli action despite the truce. On the ground, the situation is heating up. According to Lebanon, an Israeli strike in the Tulin area reportedly killed 2 people after a house came under attack. Visuals from southern Lebanon showing plumes of smoke rising into the sky, underscoring the intensity of the ongoing operations. The Israeli Defense Forces have also released footage claiming successful strikes on Hezbollah rocket launchers. According to the military, these launchers were used to fire rockets towards northern Israel earlier. Hezbollah has also acknowledged launching rockets towards Israel, calling it retaliation for what it describes as repeated Israeli violations of the ceasefire. Lebanese media reports also claiming that Hezbollah shot down Israeli drones in at least 2 locations in the south. In a statement, the Israeli military said Hezbollah shot down one of its drones in South Lebanon by a small surface-to-air missile. The ceasefire, remember, started on the 17th of April. It was extended under U.S. mediation, and it appears increasingly fragile. Both sides continue to exchange fire, blurring the line between truce and active war. And the United Nations has raised alarm over the scale of destruction. Listen to this now.
We're seeing an unprecedented level of destruction. I think the Secretary General has been very clear in speaking to a number of places that Southern Lebanon cannot be another Gaza.
The U.S. president announced the ceasefire extension after meeting the Israeli and Lebanese officials in Washington, expressing hope for a broader agreement.
We had a great meeting with the very high officials of Lebanon and very high officials of Israel, and we think that the president of Lebanon and the prime minister of Israel over the next couple of weeks will be coming here. They've agreed to an additional 3 weeks of no firing, ceasefire, no more firing, let's see.
But the thing is, despite Trump's words and statements, the reality on the ground is different. According to Lebanese authorities, nearly 2,500 people have died, over 1 million displaced since the war between the two sides started on the 3rd of March. So then the key question is this a ceasefire only in name, or a war that never really paused? Since the West Asia war started, the Strait of Hormuz has emerged as a key point of contention, to say the least. Even as the U.S. has sought to pressurize Iran with its Hormuz blockade after claiming to have decimated its army, Tehran has seemingly found a way to defy its objectives. And how? U.S. President Donald Trump has continued to highlight the success of the blockade, claiming it has deprived Iran of daily revenue worth $500 million US. The U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, claimed America's control over the Strait of Hormuz earlier. Listen in.
Sails from the Strait of Hormuz to anywhere in the world without the permission of the United States Navy. To the regime in Tehran, the blockade is tightening by the hour. We are in control. Nothing in, nothing out.
But is that really the case? This claim is far from settled, it seems. As per Axios, IRGC Navy laid more mines in the Strait of Hormuz this week. Prior to this, less than 100 mines had been reportedly deployed by Iran. According to this report, U.S. officials claimed to have destroyed more than 90% of Iran's large mine-laying vessels. More than 90% of them, and mine storage warehouses as well. However, Iran reportedly still has multiple small fishing boat-sized Kashti vessels, which can basically carry 2 to 4 mines and drop them in the strait. The U.S. is also facing a stiff challenge from Iran's asymmetric warfare with its swarm of small, fast boats. They were recently used to seize 2 container ships in Hormuz, and as per reports, they are now serving as the backbone of Iran's naval strategy. Owing to their very high speeds, these boats can carry out hit-and-run attacks without actually being detected in a way. Reports also suggesting that speedboats equipped with shoulder-fired missiles can pose a major threat to low-flying U.S. aircraft. Let's break this down further. Historically, naval blockades have been seen as a way to assert superior naval might, to put it simply. For instance, during World War I, the UK used its navy to force Germany into submission. From 1914 to 1919, it closed the North Sea and English Channel and seized all ships and cargo bound for Germany. The blockade, which ended in 1919 after the signing of the treaty, led to the death of over 700,000 Germans. During World War II as well, Britain initiated a naval blockade, remember, which drastically reduced Germany's access to seaborne imports. The 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis also witnessed a brief naval blockade by the US to prevent the Soviet Union from sending military supplies to Cuba. The US ended the blockade only after the Soviet Union agreed to remove its bomber jets from Cuba. As per CENTCOM, 34 vessels have been asked to turn around or return to Iranian ports since the Hormuz blockade commenced on the 13th of April. The blockade operations involve over 10,000 troops, more than 17 warships, 100 fighter and surveillance aircraft. Despite this, some reports suggesting that 34 Iran-linked vessels have evaded the blockade. 34. While Trump has ordered to shoot any boat planting mines in Hormuz and also directed minesweepers to triple their pace of operations, the US has yet to actually give out a clear timeline on when this waterway will actually be cleared for safe passage. Amid no meaningful uptick in the Hormuz traffic, Brent crude oil prices have surged to $104 per barrel. Donald Trump has just 8 days before he will be forced to make up his mind on Iran. He says he wants to end the unpopular war, but insists that he is under no time pressure to do that. But in reality, the clock is ticking for Trump as he continues to give out his mixed signals. Under the 1973 War Powers Resolution, a US president can only wage war without congressional approval for 60 days. And that deadline expires on the 1st of May. And that is when the 60-day period ends, basically, since Trump formally notified the Congress about the military action. And once that deadline hits, what happens then? Trump will basically be forced into a critical decision, one that could define the future of this conflict. Trump has 4 options, basically, right now. Seek approval from the Congress to continue the war, begin withdrawing US forces, find a temporary legal workaround to extend the operations, or simply just defy the law. But then pressure is building up in Washington, to say the least. Democrats have repeatedly called the war illegal. In fact, the Democrats also argue that the strikes were launched without proper authorization. Even some Republicans previously hinted that they don't want the war to continue beyond the 60-day limit without congressional approval. And this could be a potential turning point in political support for this war as well. But then Trump is continuing to project confidence. Taking to social media, he said, I'm quoting, "I have all the time in the world, but Iran does not. The clock is ticking," quote unquote, he claims. And he said this while maintaining that the US is in no rush to end the war.
How long are you willing to wait until you get a unified response?
Don't rush me, Jeff. Guys like you want to say, oh, so we were in Vietnam like for 18 years. We were in Iraq for many, many years. We're in for I don't like to say World War II because that was a biggie, but we were 4.5, almost 5 years in World War II. We were in the Korean War for 7 years. I've been doing this for 6 weeks.
But then events on the ground are also changing. The fragile ceasefire remains in place. The Iranian foreign minister, meanwhile, is expected to visit Islamabad, Muscat, and Moscow to coordinate closely with its partners, reportedly, and consult on regional matters. Iran's state news agency, meanwhile, reporting sounds of air defense firing in western Tehran, while the Mehr news agency earlier reported that the air defense systems were activated in several parts of the capital to counter hostile targets. From Israel the defense minister issued a sharp threat against Iran. He says the IDF is waiting for Washington's green light to resume the war. Katz said that the central objective of a renewed Israeli campaign will basically be to eliminate the new supreme leader, who is reportedly injured during the opening strikes of the operation. So while Trump says there is no rush, the legal, political, military pressure telling a different story. With just days left before that deadline that we just told you about, the world is watching the developments very closely, because come the 1st of May, Donald Trump will no longer have the luxury of waiting. And as the US-Iran negotiations remain elusive as of now, America boosted its military presence in West Asia with the arrival of the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier. However, the fear of Iran and allies loomed large as it reportedly took a rather different route to reach the region. Let's break this down. First, it was commissioned in 2001. USS George H.W. Bush is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, basically, which can reportedly carry more than 80 aircraft. It has more than 5,500 sailors and crew members aboard. It is also equipped with multiple defensive weapons to combat missiles, aircraft, surface threats. And now this is the first time since 2003 when 3 U.S. aircraft carriers have been deployed to the region. Overall, more than 200 Navy aircraft and around 15,000 sailors and Marines are now in West Asia, reportedly. If you look at the timeline, the aircraft carrier left from Virginia on the 31st of March. So why did it take so long for it to reach West Asia? If it took the traditional route from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Red Sea, the distance would have been between 14,000 to 16,000 kilometers. However, it reportedly took a detour around Africa, increasing that distance by at least 10,000 kilometers. This is nearly 1.5 times the original route, in fact. While the Pentagon hasn't officially commented on why the aircraft carrier took a longer route, it is seen as a move to avert a possible threat from the Iran-backed Houthis, who have a hold in the Red Sea. Remember, the Houthis have threatened to close the Bab el-Mandeb, which basically connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. This is one of the world's most critical shipping choke points, as well, as it handles around 10% of global seaborne oil trade. And why is this significant? While the US claims to have decimated Iran's military, reports suggesting that about half of the country's ballistic missiles and related launch systems remain intact.
بگرفت که خدای من این جان زینب است قربانی تو است ای مردم تیغ بران با ما نه دشمن تمام
Considering this, can this aircraft carrier actually face a potential threat from Iran's ballistic missile arsenal if the war resumes? In this scenario, Fatah 2 is one of the missiles which presents a threat to USS George H.W. Bush. Considered as one of Iran's most advanced precision-guided hypersonic missiles, it has a speed of up to Mach 15 and can bypass traditional air defense systems with an estimated range of 1,400 kilometers. It can reach the Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf. A direct hit from this missile can cause significant damage to the aircraft carrier if it sails within this missile's range. As part of its retaliatory attacks during the 40-day war, Iran claimed to have used this missile to strike targets inside Israel. The U.S. aircraft carrier's arrival also raising another key question. Is it merely a pressure tactic, or is it a signal that the U.S. and Iran are ready to resume the war? It is apparent that the next few days will be very critical. And as the world's focus remains on Iran, tonight we are putting the spotlight on a forgotten crisis. It's been more than 6 months since a ceasefire was declared, but for the people in Gaza, the conditions on the ground continue to worsen. Gaza is shrinking while the woes of the Gazans are expanding as time passes by. Despite expectations of a transition towards recovery, the territory has instead seen expanding military buffer zones, persistent violence, and a deepening humanitarian crisis. That has left 90% of the population entirely dependent on humanitarian aid. Israel's ever-evolving yellow line, the buffer zone, was supposed to be temporary and was poised to expand steadily. Instead, it has consumed more land and compressed the population of Gaza into an even smaller space. What started out as a military demarcation has quickly transformed into the single most powerful force shaping daily life in Gaza. In fact, according to local and international agencies, around 90% of Gaza's population now relies on humanitarian assistance. Large parts of the territory remain devastated, with many families living in temporary shelters or tents. Children growing up in heartbreaking conditions. Aid deliveries have increased under the ceasefire but remain limited relative to the scale of the need and the crisis. The political arrangements expected to follow the truce are yet to take shape. A proposed administrative body backed by Donald Trump and announced with a lot of fanfare, the so-called Board of Peace. Where is it? It's yet to establish a visible presence on the ground clearly. And its absence has raised crucial questions about whether the plan to hand over governance of Gaza was ever fully achievable or realistic, or if it has been overtaken by events elsewhere in the region. Meanwhile, Hamas continues to maintain a presence in parts of the territory and has not disarmed, complicating efforts to move to a second phase of that agreement. Violence has also continued. Israeli forces have continued to carry out strikes, saying they target perceived threats, including individuals approaching restricted areas near the buffer zone. According to local reports, hundreds have been killed since the ceasefire started, with a significant number of casualties occurring near these boundaries.
A group of young people were sitting on the ground as usual while Israel conducted a reconnaissance operation. Suddenly, they were targeted in a drone strike without any reason.
The one who tells you the war is over is a liar. The one who tells you there is a ceasefire is a liar. The one who tells you we are living is a liar. We are not living, we are living under fire. Every day there are stray bullets. Every day there is fear. We are living in constant terror.
With much of the territory either damaged or off limits, more than 2 million people are now concentrated into a fraction of the strip, further straining the limited resources and services in the region. Take a listen in.
Because of the lack of gas and firewood and the difficult conditions we're living through, we resort to using a kerosene stove that's over 60 years old. I have 10 family members, and I rely on this stove, which barely covers our needs in the current situation.
Similar buffer zones have emerged in other regional flashpoints, including southern Lebanon and parts of Syria. And it raises concern among analysts that such arrangements could become a longer-term feature of the conflict landscape. For now, at least, the ceasefire remains in place just in name. And without clear progress towards an actual political resolution or reconstruction, as international attention shifts elsewhere, the conditions on the ground in Gaza continue to worsen for the people. A breach inside one of the world's most tightly guarded militaries has once again brought focus on the growing infiltration by Iran inside Israeli military. 2 Israeli Air Force technicians are accused of spying for Iran, allegedly passing on sensitive military secrets to Iran from within a military air base. Extremely significant. And Israeli authorities are saying the 2 men, both F-15 mechanics, stationed at an air base in central Israel, maintained direct contact with Iranian intelligence operatives for months in exchange for money. They allegedly handed over classified material as well as details about fighter jets, infrastructure at the military airbase, and operational systems, allegedly. One of the accused even allegedly transferred training material, sensitive diagrams of Israeli aircraft engines, and photographs from inside restricted military areas. Reports saying these images included photos of the base's control towers, runways, and personnel. One soldier was allegedly asked to assassinate an Israeli Air Force chief, Major General. The operatives were also allegedly tasked with gathering intelligence on top Israeli leaders, including the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, Security Minister. Their missions included, reportedly, photographing homes, mapping streets, locating strategic defense systems like the Iron Dome batteries. Iranian agents allegedly even attempted to delay Israeli aircraft deployment from the base where the soldiers worked ahead of the 12-day war in June 2025, but they reportedly refused. Israeli investigators say at least 8 other soldiers serving at the base may have known about the espionage, but failed to report it. The probe, led by Shin Bet, the military police, and the Israeli police, underscoring a growing pattern here. Iran increasingly recruiting insiders within Israeli military, reportedly. Earlier this year itself, an IDF reservist was indicted for passing on details to Iran about the Iron Dome system and Israeli Air Force bases. Meanwhile, Iran has reportedly executed a man convicted of spying for Israel's spy agency Mossad and for passing sensitive information. The man allegedly worked for the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization and used his access to gather and transmit information to Mossad. The incident's raising a very important question. Just how deep does this infiltration really go? Also on the show for you tonight, coming up, a new report claiming that Iran's new supreme leader suffered severe injuries in the US-Israeli airstrike that killed his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This is coming up in just a bit. After the U.S. Navy Secretary was ousted in a major move amid the Hormuz crisis, raising serious questions, reports indicating how he may have paid the price for speaking truth to power. You don't want to miss this. All this and more coming up. A new report claims that Iran's supreme leader suffered severe injuries in the US-Israeli airstrike that killed his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, his wife and son on the 28th of February. Despite the scale of the attack, the report says he remains mentally alert even as he battles serious physical trauma. Since the strike nearly 2 months ago, he has vanished in away from public view, and according to a New York Times report, he stays under tight protection, surrounded almost entirely by doctors and medical personnel. The report, based on conversations with senior Iranian officials, Revolutionary Guard members, and a senior cleric, reportedly depicts how the Iranian leader is recovering under tight security. And as per the report, he has undergone multiple surgeries. One of his legs reportedly required 3 separate operations, raising the possibility of a prosthetic. He is said to be slowly regaining movement in one hand, reportedly, but significant facial burns have left him unable to speak publicly, and doctors may need to perform reconstructive surgery in the future, reportedly. Even Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, a trained heart surgeon reportedly involved in his treatment, senior military commanders and top government officials are reportedly staying away, fearing that any visit could expose his location and make him a target again. And despite these challenges, the report says that Khamenei continues to function as the leader, and messages to him are only passed through sealed handwritten notes by a chain of trusted couriers, ensuring secrecy at every step. He has avoided any public audio or video appearance so far, reportedly unwilling to appear weak or vulnerable in front of the world. Instead, written statements attributed to him, reportedly, are being circulated online and broadcast on state television. With his condition limiting direct control, several key decisions are reportedly being handled by a group of senior commanders within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this development comes as US President Donald Trump claims Iran's leadership is fractured and unstable.
Part of the problem is that that's why I can't really answer your question. They have all new leadership and they're fighting like cats and dogs for who's going to control.
And Tehran appears to be pushing back hard against Trump's narrative. Iran's top leadership, including the president, the parliament speaker, and the chief justice, have posted similar messages on social media, rejecting any division and that there is only unity. That's their message. Also saying one God, one nation, one leader, one path, quote unquote. The Cold War never really ended. It just went quiet. Now, over the Baltic Sea, the silence seems to be breaking. Europe's skies are heating up with power moves on just about every side. French nuclear-capable jets are holding drills as Russian bombers test the NATO airspace. Our next report breaking this down.
The Baltic Sea has been transformed into a supersonic chessboard. French Rafale fighters have arrived in Poland to simulate forward deterrence missions. The military drills will be held over the Baltics, involving Rafale fighter jets equipped with nuclear warheads, which will simulate strikes on targets in Russia and Belarus.
For Paris, it is about providing the nuclear umbrella that can reach the alliance's eastern edge. For Warsaw, it is about cementing a new layer of regional security. Poland, which doesn't take part in the U.S. nuclear sharing program, is interested in firming up European deterrence against Russia. France is the only European Union nation which has nukes. Apart from France, UK has nukes, but it's no longer part of EU. Together, on paper, they have far lesser nuclear warheads than Russia.
Now, Russia is cautiously watching. Moscow warns that using nuclear weapons against a country that has the world's best air and missile defenses would in fact mean nuclear suicide. But Europe's skies are active on more than one front. Russian Tu-22 M3 long-range bombers have also drawn attention after flying near NATO-monitored airspace. These aircraft, built for long-range strike roles, remain a visible part of Russia's strategic air power and often feature in patrol and readiness missions. Moscow says these fights are lawful and conducted in international airspace. Russian officials regularly describe them as scheduled training or patrol operations. With Russian nuclear bombers in the vicinity, NATO warplanes were scrambled. From Rafales in the east to Russian bombers near NATO zones, Europe's airspace has become a theater of precision, posture and pressure, and every takeoff now carries more than fuel. It carries intent. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And the churn within the Pentagon continues. After spending just over a year in office, the U.S. Navy Secretary was ousted, and now reports have indicated how he may have paid the price for speaking truth to power. It all dates back to December 2025. Flanked by him, the U.S. President announced a new class of warships named after himself. He claimed that they will be the biggest so far and 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. And he added that these ships built domestically would be equipped to carry hypersonic and extremely lethal weapons. As per reports, the Navy is planning to seek $17 billion in fiscal year 2028 to start construction on the first Trump-class ships. However, reports suggested that the U.S. shipbuilding industry does not have the capacity to actually build a technologically advanced battleship, which Trump was seeking in the next few years. Additionally, the Navy's civilian workforce, which plays a critical role in developing and testing new warships, has reportedly been hit by cuts and early retirements. And when it became clear to the U.S. Navy Secretary that the U.S. does not have the ability to actually deliver on this front, he reportedly suggested to Trump that the Navy might have to rely on European shipyards to build the battleships. As per reports, the U.S. president rejected that suggestion, reports indicating that Trump's frustration over handling of this project increased over a period of time. Also, the U.S. Secretary of War reportedly told Trump that he is not a team player, the ex-Navy Secretary, that he is not a team player and needed to go, as per Trump. Speaking to the media, Trump confirmed differences with his ex-Navy Secretary over the pace of the shipbuilding.
He had some conflict with, not necessarily Pete, with some other, he's a hard charger, and he had some conflicts with some other people, mostly as to building and buying new ships. I'm very aggressive in the new shipbuilding, and somehow he just didn't get along with it.
Now, this is not the first ambitious project of Donald Trump which has not delivered results. For instance, the launch of the Trump Gold Card program last year, it basically aimed to allow non-citizens to get residency status by paying a processing fee of $15,000 and a contribution of $1 million after undergoing a background check. However, only one gold card reportedly has been approved so far, even though the U.S. claimed hundreds had applied. Since the beginning of his second term in office, Republican lawmakers have tried to flatter Trump by moving bills which propose a number of things, ranging from adding his face on $100 banknote to carving his face into Mount Rushmore. Trump himself has been on a self-naming spree. For instance, in December last year, John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts and U.S. Institute of Peace building in Washington were renamed after him. He even reportedly demanded that the Washington International Airport and New York's Penn Station be renamed after him in exchange for releasing federal funds for a vital rail tunnel project. Meanwhile, Trump has been awarded with Israel's highest civilian honor. This is known as the Israel Prize. This award is basically given for a special contribution to the Jewish people. It was announced by Israel's education minister, who praised Trump's long-standing support for Israel and his consistent stance against anti-Semitism. Pakistan's terror and political nexus has been exposed once again after new images show key members from Pakistan's ruling establishment meeting individuals linked to banned terror outfits. The latest image, uploaded by open source social media handle, allegedly showing Pakistan's defense minister in a high-level engagement with Yasser Arafat, the general secretary of PMML Islamabad. PMML is a political front linked to the Lashkar-e-Toiba, a designated terrorist organization, and claims that the meeting came hours after leaked visuals showed, but with former Director General of ISPR, Asif Ghafoor. In fact, adding to the controversy is another picture which has been circulating showing Yasser Arafat with Talha Saeed, the son of the US designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed, who is the founder of Lashkar-e-Toiba. The White House has accused China of stealing U.S. artificial intelligence labs' intellectual property on an industrial scale. The development comes ahead of a scheduled summit between U.S. and Chinese leaders next month. The director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, in his memo, accused China-based actors of using proxy accounts to evade detection and jailbreak models to extract capabilities for American AI models. The White House saying that these campaigns enable foreign actors to release models that appear to match US AI capabilities at a fraction of the cost, reportedly. Earlier this year, both OpenAI and Anthropic had stated that China-based firms, including DeepSeek and others, were behind wide-scale distillation attacks on their models, allegedly. Meanwhile, the Chinese government issued a sharp rebuttal to accusations from the White House. It calls these claims entirely baseless and a slanderous smear.
The US claims are entirely baseless. They are a slanderous smear against the achievements of China's artificial intelligence industry. China firmly opposes this. We urge the US side to respect the facts, abandon prejudice, cease technological containment and suppression of China, and do more to facilitate technological exchange and cooperation between the two countries.
And this war of words coming as the US president prepares for a highly anticipated trip next month to China, where he is expected to push for economic concessions and reset parts of the US-China relationship. So this is a very critical juncture. And this would be the first visit to China by a US president in nearly 10 years. The battle over rare earth minerals is only heating up. And in the latest, a research arm of the Chinese government has reportedly said it had published an atlas of deep-sea mineral deposits. And why is this significant? Because it indicates Beijing's ambitions to mine the ocean floor and underscoring its disputed claims to waters that neighboring nations consider theirs. The maps reportedly pinpoint mineral deposits found in the deep ocean. The Chinese Ministry of Natural Resources published the results of marine geological surveys over the past 2 decades for the seas, according to the state broadcaster CCTV. An atlas reportedly charting the location, concentration, and distribution patterns of dozens of elements in seabed sediments, including rare earths, manganese, copper. The map reportedly pinpointing seabed chemical elements in the country's eastern waters. As Japan also races to tap undersea rare earth resources and deep-sea minerals, the messaging is quite clear. China is putting in resources, and with this kind of extensive mapping, in a way, the mission has far-reaching implications as well, scientifically and strategically. Also given that it could play a huge role in its rare earth play. CCTV has reportedly described the document as a master navigation map for marine development and conservation in the waters. It said the surveys covered more than 20,000 observation points, culminating in the broadest ranging, most multidimensional and most reliable geochemical data set produced by China for that maritime area to date. And experts have reportedly said the maps give China's military a thorough understanding of the sea floor in strategically important waters, providing an advantage if submarine warfare were to break out. So that's the other implication. Earlier, it was reported how Japan's $250 million deep-sea mining mission aims to reduce dependence on China for rare earth minerals. So clearly, this is the next frontier, with the deep sea being rich in mineral, biological, energy resources, attracting a lot of strategic attention and critical moves. A U.S. Special Forces soldier has been arrested and charged with using classified military intelligence, allegedly, to profit from prediction market bets linked to a secret operation targeting Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan leader. The U.S. Department of Justice announced the charges in what is being seen as a landmark case amid growing scrutiny of prediction markets, regulators, And lawmakers are increasingly examining whether these platforms can be exploited using privileged or sensitive information. In fact, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission has, for the first time, brought insider trading charges tied specifically to event-based contracts. And when asked about the allegations, the US president jokingly compared the case to famous baseball player betting on his own team. Listen to this.
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. It's a little like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, they kept him out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team. Now, if he bet against his team, that would be no good, but he bet on his own team. I'll look into it, yeah.
Trump was also asked whether he is concerned about reports suggesting that some traders may be using insider information to profit from the ongoing Iran conflict. And here's what he said.
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it.
At the center of the betting case is an active duty soldier, reportedly, based at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. According to prosecutors, he was directly involved in planning and executing an operation targeting Maduro. Authorities alleging that he used that classified knowledge to place bets on the prediction platform Polymarket, reportedly. The FBI said he placed 13 bets, investing more than $33,000 and ultimately profiting over $400,000. Officials also revealed that he had signed strict non-disclosure agreements, pledging never to reveal any information, and his alleged actions are being described as a clear breach of that obligation. According to the indictment, he later transferred most of the proceeds into a foreign cryptocurrency vault before moving the funds into a newly created online brokerage account. Polymarket has said it identified the suspicious activity, referred the matter to the Justice Department, and cooperated fully with the investigators. The company added that it has strengthened its internal safeguards. And he now faces multiple charges, reportedly, including wire fraud, unlawful monetary transactions, and 3 violations of the Commodity Exchange Act. If convicted, he could face decades in prison. On to some breaking news coming in this minute. U.S. President Donald Trump dispatching a high-level delegation for urgent talks on Iran. As per the latest, according to reports, Trump is sending Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Islamabad, where they are expected to hold direct talks with Iran's foreign minister. That's the latest coming in. Huge developments. This, remember, comes just hours after the Iranian foreign minister was reported to be visiting Islamabad, Muscat and Moscow to coordinate closely with its partners and consult on regional matters. So that led to the immediate question mark over what America's move will be. And now we have that answer. In the latest coming in, the U.S. president is dispatching a high-level delegation for urgent talks on Iran. Trump is sending Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Islamabad. Let's go straight across now to Susan Tehrani. Susan, what's the latest? Of course, this is a huge moment of clarity as far as the second round of talks is concerned, because earlier it was reported that the Iranian delegation was making its way to Pakistan, but we were not sure about the American move. And now we do know that the U.S. delegation will also be moving to Pakistan.
Right, Molly, this is incoming reports right now by some media outlets saying that White House officials have confirmed that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be on their way to Islamabad. As we're talking right now, the White House has called a lunch lid. So I think we'll get official confirmation from the White House shortly about this trip. But what's noteworthy is Vice President J.D. Vance is not going to be accompanying this lower-level delegation, if you may, because it is believed that the head of the Iranian delegation, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Parliament, is not attending these talks. So while these reports claim that J.D. Vance's team will be on the ground in Islamabad, he is not scheduled to travel with this team as of yet. I do want to say that there have been some preliminary reporting on whether or not Ghalibaf has been sidelined on the Iranian side from the negotiating team. There was an Israeli media outlet that reported this, and then Iran International also claims that it has sources that have said that. We're going to get confirmation on that and see whether or not Ghalibaf is going to continues to be the leader in the Iranian talks. But as of now, there is no news that Ghalibaf is going to be taking part or anyone instead of him. So Kushner and Witkoff probably are going to be going there. Let's see how this works out with Arakchi. Remember, none of these people that are going to Islamabad are key decision makers. So, it may be a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's hard to imagine any breakthrough will come if these three sit down together.
Right. Susan, a lot of sticking points do remain as far as these talks are concerned. What can you tell our viewers about what America's move or agenda as of now will be going into these talks? Because a lot of those questions still do remain as compared to the first round of talks.
Right. Well, the United States says that its agenda has been clear from the beginning. The president outlined yesterday that his ultimate goal is for Iran not to have a nuclear weapon. But I think these talks are significant because in the last 24 and 48 hours alone, as we have been reporting and we've talked about, a lot has unfolded, notably in the Strait of Hormuz with the mines and with the blockade. So I think the Iranians may be hoping to go to Islamabad, even on a lower level, with the foreign minister and President Trump's advisors, to try to hatch out possibly some differences when it comes to the trade and issue in the Strait of Hormuz. But I think the main issue still remains that Iran says that it's going to maintain its quote-unquote civilian nuclear program, and the United States is saying you can't have it. So they are as far apart as they were since the war started, even since the first round of talks.
Right, so that's the latest coming in right now, as Susan is telling us. We'll have to wait and watch of what the next few hours will reveal. But as of now, with the way things stand, we do know that U.S. delegation will be heading to Pakistan. We earlier reported how the Iranian delegation was also making its way to Pakistan. So there we have the talks set to take place. So that's a huge moment of clarity at the same time. Those questions hanging in the air, the sticking points do remain. We are leaving it there for the moment. Susan, thanks very much for now. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
Iconic stories and characters make a comeback. It's a wave of nostalgia on eClub. Know all about the style and buzz around The Devil Wears Prada 2. Plus, fasten your seatbelt and get ready for takeoff with Top Gun 3.
I was curious to learn more about it.
And join us for an exclusive chat with Jim Serb. All this and much more with me, Rhythm Sharma, on WION eClub at these times.
No SUV is too big here. No adventure motorcycle too advanced. Man's ego is of no use in Ladakh. To drive here is to see your life in perspective. To be reminded that there's always time.
Then I figured that if not now, when?
To take the long way. To define your own life.
I keep on reminding myself, why did you leave your job? Don't make this your job.
Coming up this week on WION Drive at these times.
5 states, 1 powerful voice. From Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. From Kerala to Assam. Every vote shapes the future. Get the election pulse only on WION. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Iconic stories and characters make a comeback. It's a wave of nostalgia on eClub. Know all about the style and buzz around the Devil Wears Prada 2. Plus, fasten your seatbelt and get ready for takeoff with Top Gun 3.
I was curious to learn more about it.
And join us for an exclusive chat with Jim Serb. All this and much more with me, Rhythm Sharma, on WION eClub at these times.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
Hello, you're watching WION Pulse. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Up ahead, we get you the latest developments as far as the second round of negotiations between America and Iran are concerned. Reports now coming in that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be traveling to Islamabad as well. We get you this and much more up ahead. First up, a quick look at the top stories. Reports say President Donald Trump is sending his special envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Pakistan to participate in the talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi this weekend.
I know there's a lot of talks. You saw I would call it a silly conference.